All right, so how do we transition billions and trillions of dollars into regenerative finance, sustainability, ESG, eco-friendly, lowering pollution, et cetera, circular economy, which I think more people need to really understand, and we have to do that. I know that with the clothing industry, there's a lot of challenges. Well, we have a lot of challenges. Anyway, I'm going to just give you a little bit of background of who I am. So I don't know, it'll be 3 or 5 minutes, whatever. Um, yeah, this is based on a response to somebody where I said, I'm working with a couple planned billion-dollar networks into regenerative finance. And for me, regenerative finance covers everything from circular economy to ESG to sustainability to eco-friendly to natural products, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so I'm Matthew Lamson Bonnstetter, born in Iowa. My father was a farmer, became a businessman. Well, actually, he was a college teacher. And then part-time businessman, became a multimillionaire, passed away June 2nd, 2016, sorry. Um, and so, once my family got more money, I decided to follow my heart, follow my faith, follow my passions to give back to help out humanity. And, so I was a researcher in supporting eco-friendly things, back in the old days by emailing and going to events and stuff and meeting people. I've been to a lot of different things. I've been to Earth Days. I've spoken at an Earth Day. I've been to Farm Aid. I've been to hemp festivals. I went to Prophets Conference, Dr. Chet Snow's conference. Went to a UFON meeting with Dr. Greer was there. Went to Clinton Global Initiatives as a videographer for one of my eco friends. And I was there for 2.5 days at the main stage. I heard a lot of great people. Um, and I basically have been full-time self-funded researcher and funder. I took photos and videos, promoted other people's project. I've started two not-for-profits. One is in Uganda, and we've already made reusable organic sanitation pads for girls in villages that weren't going to school because they didn't have the sanitation pads. And as soon as I heard that, I bought a manual sewing machine. Then we bought an electric machine for her. And then she had up to 8 women working with her, and they've already touched the lives of over 2,000 girls in Uganda. I know of a great sanitation pad project in Nigeria as well. I've been to Africa, South Africa 6 times, Zimbabwe twice, and Botswana once. Did business there with my family business, which is TTI Success Insights. Anyway, we'll talk about that story later on, not in this video. Um, so how do we transition billions of dollars into, and then trillions of dollars into the best regenerative finance? We call it refi on X, and I've been on hundreds and hundreds of spaces on X over the last 4 years for regenerative finance. And again, that includes everything that's eco-friendly, lowering pollution, circular economy, all that stuff. So I know all the heavy hitters, and Gitcoin and Giveth are doing quadratic funding. So I know quad means four, but if you're the best project, like TreeGens was 3 times in a row, and I know a lot about TreeGens. We'll talk about them a little bit later. You literally can get over 100 times the donations. So let's say you had 1,000 people donate $1, and you were the number one project in a Gitcoin round, and the funding provided, you could get over 100 times matching money. So you got 1,000 from your community or people who heard about you, and you got $100,000 from people who, the companies that supported that matching fund. Giveth is doing the same thing. TreeGens is also going to be doing it for people, so not for project, but for people. And I know Jimmy Cohen, who's the world record holder for planting over 37,000 trees in one day. He's on LinkedIn, he's on X, and TreeGens does spaces like 5 times a week and sometimes even more. Jimmy did over 500 max impact spaces. I've hosted with him, co-hosted with him hundreds of times over the last 2+ years. I've been on Regenerative Finance for since February 2022, so it'll be 4 years come this February. And I got into lowering pollution because I took a class, communications class at Arizona State University in the early 90s. And I chose a subject called Superfund sites. And when I learned how polluted we were polluting with the big corporations, I got more eco-friendly. Um, I come from a very conservative family. They're all four of my parents, two step parents and two natural parents, were um, Republicans. I consider myself more of a fiscal conservative, libertarian, independent-minded person. I don't care what your politics is. I don't care what your faith is. If you are a good person, we can work with you. So, and then I met a guy with from Nigeria who was living in America, and he had Team 54 project, and it was to work with the 54 countries in Africa. And he said, Matthew, would you like to be the chairman of the board? And I said, well, what's your long-term goals? He said they wanted a country coordinator in every country to coordinate with the government, the not-for-profits, and the for-profits to help people and to deal with climate crisis. And I've studied global warming, climate change for 25 years, and I know the history goes back to like the 1869, I think Elaine Forte, and then some guy mainly got credit a couple years later. But anyway, so I don't care if you believe in global warming, climate change, if you are into sustainability, ESG, regenerative finance, you probably do. And you know, I've studied storms. Storms are getting bigger, faster. I saw one storm coming. I know I'm getting off tangent a little bit, but that's all right. Very few people are going to watch this anyway. Um, yeah, it's early. I'm American, living in Serbia for over 6 years, and I'm creating a regenerative finance hub here. We're going to have an eco showcase, which I've been planning for over 25 years. Was going to do a big project at the TT Ranch in New River, but my father wanted $5 million, or $7 million at first, and $5 million. Then when he passed away, my stepmother sold it for $1 million less, sold it for like $4 million, I think. But anyway, we're going to do an eco showcase. We're going to do an environmental healing um, place. We're going to grow great food. We're going to do greenhouses at scale. We're going to do regenerative farming at scale. We're going to be working with Nigeria, create a regenerative finance hub there. I've got a great PhD agriculture brother from Zambia. Been to South Africa 6 times. A lot of millionaires in Africa. Most millionaires in Africa live in South Africa, so we can do regenerative finance hubs there. I got connections in Kenya. I got connections in Uganda, and basically I got connections in all the African countries through me and my own connections as well. I have over 4,700 connections on LinkedIn now. I just posted something, tagged Jimmy, tagged Project Drawdown, and I might have tagged one other project, and then it got flagged. And then I got two logins today. One was from New York and one was from LA, so somebody hacked my LinkedIn. Yeah, so if you're trying to do good, some people try and attack you. That's all right. So anyway, so I know of one guy in Canada who's creating a $1 billion regenerative finance hub, and he wants to do 10 $100 million projects. He's talked with me about me leading one of the $100 million projects here in Serbia, and we could invest some of that into the countries around here. I love traveling, and I've connected with a lot of people around the world, been to around 40 countries right now. I know of another guy in India who was an international banker, and he was going to create a $1 billion thing. And so I put those two together, and we did a 2 hour Zoom with the three of us on there. And they've got some similarities, but they also have some differences. So it's not like they're going to be working extremely close together right now. And Daniel from Canada was saying that we need thousands of billion-dollar organizations in order to transition the 30 to 40 trillion dollars that we need to in the next 30 years or so. Project Drawdown, that was created by Paul Hawken, who I met in 2000 at the Bioneers Conference. I went to 5 Bioneers conferences in a row. And I volunteered. I was security guard the first year, and I said, hey, can I be the peace officer for the next 4 years? And I was. Met thousands of amazing people, heard amazing speakers and stuff. So yeah, I live, eat, and sleep sustainability. Um, and I practice what I preach as best I can. So anyway, I'm about 2 minutes away to my right, which is west, to the farm fields. So we want to do regenerative farming, have a regenerative farming school. We'll have our own buildings, and I've always thought of creating kind of like the Disneyland of the sustainable, eco-friendly, ESG regenerative movement. And that's something that we may build here in Serbia. One, it's going to be cheap. So if somebody comes here for a workshop, a conference, or a seminar, We will have a for-profit, probably have a foundation here. I don't know the difference between the foundation and the not-for-profits here in Serbia. I do in America. And we're going to have for-profits. We're going to grow food at scale. I'm really big on hemp, so we want to grow hemp, and hemp is legal here. And it was the number one or number two producer of hemp during Yugoslavia times here. And so want to have a hemp factory and want to make eco products. So we do plan on doing for-profits and making money with for-profits. We plan on growing a lot of amazing food, and we will give a percentage of that to people who need food, to elderly people, to people that are in poverty, homeless people and stuff like that. I'm born and raised a Christian and have pretty much a New Testament self-taught scholar, so I understand Christianity quite a bit. Have over 300 books on that, and I have friends who are atheists, who are agnostic, who are Hindu, who are Buddhist, who are Islamic, you name it, Jewish. So I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care how much money you have. I just care about your heart. If you're a more heart-centered person, if you're an impact investor, humanitarian, philanthropist, work in a family office, work at a pension fund, work at university endowments or insurance companies that have a lot of money, we need to invest in the best things. Now, TreeGens is also designed to be a billion-dollar network. On X, you can, Google TreeGens, Gens. And I know another guy, Mark Kane in the United Kingdom, who's creating a trading platform for wealthy people that have over 100,000. And he's also creating an AI trading platform, and you can list your regenerative finance project on there, and 100% of the profits from the crypto platform trading fees, whatever, are going to go to support regenerative finance. I'm really big on education. My uncle is a PhD scientist who does brain research at TTI Success Insights in Scottsdale, Arizona right now. He taught at the University of Iowa. He was a high school teacher before that. Then he moved to University of Nebraska. And then he's been working part-time with my father, but then he worked full-time for, I think, over 10 years now, maybe 10, 12 years. And our company has business consultants, about 7,000 in 100 countries right now. So my goal is to work with all the eco-friendly people, the humanitarians, the philanthropists, family offices, and the big investors. I was on a Project Drawdown Zoom probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and one of the board members said, you actually can invest in good projects that are doing good and make a similar return to the Fortune 500. So for me, working with communicators, educators, graphic designers, newsletter people, podcasts, and Daniel, and I've thought about this as well. Daniel wants to have a 24/7 radio station and TV station, and I've thought about that as well, and I'm sure a lot of us have. So we can have other people's content, we can do interviews, we can talk about projects, we can talk about funding and stuff. I literally have hosted and co-hosted maybe 5,000 times over the last 4 years on X. And I did 60 hours straight once, 50 hours straight once. Don't recommend you do that. I've done 24 hours straight where I didn't sleep for 1 minute, probably over 20, 25, 30 times. I don't know. I've done a lot that were over 12 to 15 hours. I don't do that as much now. I'm 61 and a half, and I worked 17 hours straight the other day, part-time physical on my property here, and part-time online, and I am online a lot. I do want to get offline more, so I've got some big plans. So I'm going to be looking for people who want to donate to a regenerative finance hub here in Serbia, and also invest. I own one property outright. I own another one that's in the process of being legalized, but I'm going to work with the first property, and so I will give ownership, and we may tokenize it as well in a stable coin. And it's not going to be about money. So if somebody's given back, and we will have space open, and I do believe that we'll get donations once people understand who we are and what we're doing. So if you are like a climate change doctor, scientist or whatever, or, worked with orphans, or, did something good for humanity, and you want to come to Serbia, we can have places for you for free. I'm sure we'll get people to donate the money for the laundry and for, the little electricity you're going to do. And we could even have the food. We're going to be growing our own food. So we could have free food and stuff. So we want to reward more heart-centered people. That's my whole passion. So I'm not perfect, can't be perfect to everyone. That's just the world that we live in right now. So, I've done one-on-ones with Dr. Foley, the executive director of Project Drawdown, 3 times. I know Douglas Horn, who created Telos, and now he's working with some other chains. So I understand the best of blockchain, and I understand there's a lot of cryptos, and there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of rug pulls, and a lot of hackers, and just a lot of fake people on X. So I get it. But I use X the most. I am using LinkedIn more now. Post on Facebook and Instagram a little bit, but not as much. Blue Sky, I did a little bit, but I didn't really get much traction, so I'm not doing that much right now. And I rescued puppy dogs. So I got 3 rescued puppy dogs. Adam, it's okay. 3 rescued puppy dogs, and I rescued some older dogs, a lot of puppies. We had 5 puppies born here from 2 rescue dogs, and Adam, or Nomad, were some of the fathers. Um, and I rescued 2 kittens. And then one of my neighbors actually had cats and kittens and dogs and she didn't have much money. So I paid for the vet bills and gave her food because she needed money, and paid for the food for the cats. And some of my neighbors also rescued animals here as well. So part of what we really want to do with the farm, I want to have like Joe Salison type um, taking care of animals, and I want to have a lot of young animals. And so we'll have something where school children can come out, see the best of the eco-friendly, sustainable, regenerative practices. We'll have kids' places there. We'll have great food for them. And then they can see the animals and play with the animals. And, we want it to be safe and stuff. And do want to have a world-class spa, and want to have, if we get this farm and we get the permission to do it, I would like to have as many different types of homes, like earthships, straw bales, yurts, teepees, um, cob houses, hemp houses, you name it. And, we'll have, some wind, even if it doesn't make sense, we'll have some small wind just so you can see it. Um, if we can buy some property in areas that does have wind, but I'm more friendly with solar because it's not as high, it's not as intrusive. I'm a photographer, videographer, so solar's, usually lower to the ground. I've driven through Palm Springs area where it has all those windmills and stuff like that. So anyway, that's basically who I am and what I'm doing. And, we have the solutions, and we've had them for decades. So yes, AI and robotics are going to do some things, and maybe they'll take over going to take over a lot of jobs, it looks like. And we're talking about universal basic income, and Elon thinks that people aren't going to have to work. I cannot imagine not working. I don't think it would be great to have a lot of people that are not working, you know, do something that you love. That would be great. And we have too many people that aren't respected in their job, don't get enough money from their job, and don't like doing it, or they have to work too much. And, can you imagine if we had clean air, clean water, great food that's not over processed and not full of junk or too much sugar or too much salt? Our healthcare bills would probably go down by 80%. Now, will we get there? Who knows? Is humanity going to make it? I don't know. Because right now, I was like saying, hey, the sky's falling in 2000. And then I learned how to communicate a little bit better and how to talk with different people. So I can talk with Republicans about pollution. I can talk with, Democrats and, pretty much everybody, because I've talked with a lot of different people on all these X spaces. And I've been on tons of other spaces that I wasn't a host or a co-host. And, I've learned from a lot of experts and a lot of masters, and I've studied a lot of wisdom. So that's just a little bit about me. I will keep this under 20 minutes. We're at 19:11 right now. So if you're crazy and you watched all this and you like what we're doing, you know, I will be getting some money. I know I've got some investors that want to invest next year. And again, we can make money. It's not my main goal is to make money. And I definitely don't want to be famous, because with fame comes a price. But yeah, we're going to be doing some amazing things, and I want to support educational centers, regional, like Joe Brewer is doing down in Columbia, and regenerative finance schools and training stuff. Work with orphans and widows and schools and community gardens, green up cities. Work with wastewater pollution. I mean, I could go on and on and on, because this is my life, this is my passion. But I'm going to end it at less than 20 minutes. So if you watch this, leave a comment. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on X, connect with me on Facebook, whatever, and let's get this thing done. Let's help transition trillions of dollars and be more positive, be for the solutions. If we're for the solutions and invite the old money and invite the extractive industries so that they can win, I believe we can get it done. If we say we win, you lose, it ain't gonna work. They got the money, they got the power, they got the connections, they own governments, they own PR, they own radio, TV stations. But if we come together, one, we won't have to go to Mars. Sorry, Elon. And there are challenges with going to Mars, Elon. You know that. But anyway, yeah, this is an amazing planet. It is abundant by design, and we can work with Mother Nature and Father Nature and do amazing things. So let's come together. Let's do it more. Get out of your isolated tanks and connect with more people and learn how to invest, learn how to donate to the best projects that are more open, more honest, more transparent, and don't spend a ton of money on advertising and events and salaries. You know, there's some great blockchain that are doing it very low key. So thank you. Have a great day. It's Sunday here. Have a blessed Sunday. Have a blessed new week. And 2026 could be the year that we really turn this around.